You know how a sharp suit can make you feel powerful, or a cozy sweater feels like a hug? We all get that, but what if it goes deeper? What if your clothes could actually change how your brain works, how you see yourself in the world? Well, that's exactly what we're going to get into.
Seriously, think about it. Maybe you were trying on a bathing suit or a really fancy dress or even just a pair of jeans that were a little snugger than you remembered. All of a sudden, you're not just in your body, you feel like you're looking at your body from the outside. That exact feeling, that little mental flip, is what a really fascinating study decided to put under the microscope.
So, here's the game plan for this explainer. We're going to start with the psychology behind all this. Then we'll walk through the clever experiment scientists set up. After that, we'll get to the juicy part, what they actually found out. And finally, we'll talk about why any of this really matters to you and me.
Okay, so to really get what's going on, we need to wrap our heads around one key idea from psychology. It's at the heart of something called objectification theory, and honestly, it's a process that can happen to any of us at any time.
The big term here is self-objectification. It sounds complicated, but it's not. It's that moment you kind of flip a switch and start seeing your own body from an outside observer's point of view. You stop just being in the world, and you start thinking about how you're being seen in the world.
So what does that actually feel like? Well, it's like you're swapping perspectives in your own head. Normally, you're living in the first person, asking internal questions like, how do I feel right now? Or what's my body capable of? But when self-objectification kicks in, you jump to a third-person view. And the questions immediately become about the outside. How do I look?
So for a long time, scientists knew that certain situations, like trying on a swimsuit, could trigger this. But the why was still kind of fuzzy. Was it because the clothes were revealing, or was it because they were tight, or maybe some combination of the two? Researchers decided it was time to design an experiment to get a real, solid answer.
So how in the world do you actually measure a mental shift like this in a lab? Well, let's break down the super clever way these scientists designed their experiment.
All right, so they got 120 female university students to participate. Now, to keep things consistent, they made sure everyone was within a normal weight range, so the clothes would fit in a similar way on everybody. Then, they split them up into different groups at random. Now, here is the really smart part of the experiment. They wanted to isolate two different things, how revealing the clothes were and how tight they were. So each participant was put into one of four groups. You had revealing and tight, revealing and loose, full coverage and tight, or full coverage and loose. This setup was perfect for figuring out exactly what factor was causing the mental shift.
Okay, so here's what happened. Each person put on their outfit, and then they had to look at themselves in a mirror for 3 straight minutes. Right after that, they filled out a survey to measure self-objectification, all alone in a private room. But, and here's the twist, they then had to do that survey again, this time out in a public lounge, sitting near 2 total strangers.
All right, the stage is set, the data's in. So what did they find? The results were, no pun intended, very revealing. They were also incredibly clear.
First up, the revealing factor. And yup, the results were crystal clear. The women who wore the more revealing outfits reported way higher levels of self-objectification compared to those in the full coverage clothes. So showing more skin was definitely a trigger.
But wait, that wasn't the whole story. The second big finding was all about the fit. It didn't matter how revealing the clothes were, just wearing something tight-fitting also caused a big jump in self-objectification compared to wearing something loose.
And what about those strangers in the lounge? Oh yeah, that totally mattered. As you can see, self-objectification levels went up for everyone when they were in the public space compared to when they were alone. Just the feeling of being watched made the effect even stronger, no matter what they were wearing.
So here's the bottom line, the big takeaway from this study. They answered the question loud and clear. It's not an either-or thing. Both how revealing your clothes are and how tightly they fit are their own separate triggers that can push your brain into that third-person, self-evaluating mode.
Okay, this is all fascinating science, for sure. But what does it actually mean for us in our day-to-day lives? Why should we care if our mindset shifts a little bit? Well, it turns out the consequences can be pretty significant.
You see, being in this state of self-objectification all the time isn't harmless. Research connects it to a whole cascade of negative stuff, starting with body shame and anxiety. It can make it harder to get into that flow state where you're totally absorbed in something, and it can even make you less aware of your own body's signals, like hunger or fatigue. And over the long term, this constant self-monitoring can be a contributing factor to really serious issues, like eating disorders and depression.
This quote from the very people who first came up with this theory just hits so hard.
It suggests something really powerful. If certain clothes can pull us into this mental state, maybe other clothes, like baggier, comfier stuff, can be a conscious strategy to opt out, to give our brains a much-needed break from that constant self-surveillance.
And get this, it's not just about your feelings. This mental state actually uses up brain power. Think about it. If part of your brain is busy tracking how you look, that's mental energy that's not available for other things. The study points out this can literally lead to worse cognitive performance. That could mean being less efficient on a big project for work or struggling more during an important exam.
So the point here isn't that tight clothes or revealing clothes are bad. Not at all. It's just that what we choose to wear has a real, measurable effect on our psychology. And that leaves us with a much bigger question to chew on. If something as simple as the cut of our clothes can change how we see ourselves and even how well we think, what other small, daily choices are out there, quietly shaping who we are?